Once again, I would say that, and I would say the fourth thing is to really be aware and reflective.
Yeah.
When looking at this conversation and thinking about and considering these lyrics, and definitely be reflective and self-aware.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's a prerequisite. It's like telling yourself the truth. Deciding to heal, telling yourself the truth.
Yes.
So, again, we commend the songwriter for praying in the first place. However, it's like, woman, come on now. This guy's crazy. So, let me see, third stanza, she says, oh Lord, he's somewhere between a hangman's knot and 3 mouths to feed. There wasn't a wrong or right he could choose. He did what he had to do. So now she's justifying the reason why this man's on the run. And again, there's a lot of good people in jail. There's a lot of people who had, what do you call it, a crime of passion, or slipping the tongue, or a drunk night, and end up in jail. And again, this isn't I'm not coming from a place of judgment where I have a dabble. Like, I don't care what you're going through, you have 3 miles of feed. You don't get to do X, Y, and Z. 10 years in pain. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying there is a disposition that a person has toward good or evil. And you have to be honest about what that person's disposition is. Because, again, I remember growing up, I heard this song by Mickey, and he said, he's kind of like an ad-lib at the beginning of the song. He was talking about, this goes out to all people who call the cops on me when I was just trying to, I was selling drugs, and all people who called the cops on me, and I was just trying to keep my guard. And I'm just like, and when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, screw those people. How dare you call the cops on Mickey for trying to feed his guard? Like, I'm on his side. And I grow up, and I'm like, wait a second. What am I else done?
Right, that you're selling the drugs to.
It's like, the money that you got was someone else's food that they gave you instead.
Right.
For their drugs when they're trying to feed their son their God. So it's like, what are we talking about? And again, the lyrics, the song, the music, the melody, the culture was drawing me in until you turn all that off and just look at the lyrics. Like, wait a second, this isn't making sense. And again, I don't know this man that she's talking about in this song's particular situation. I don't know if he's a repeat offender. He may not be the worst person ever. He may be a good person. Just had a mistake. However, you have to know the difference. If you don't know the difference and you get yourself in a situation that you may end up being a Bonnie and Clyde situation, you're trying to do all that. Wait, accessory, what's that? A diner, what's that?
Right, I was going to say, the getaway car. Right. How did I end up here? I didn't know he was going in to do that.
True stories. And we may or may not have people on the podcast who let you know about all that. However, I'm just saying,
say that.
You have a lot of good people doing mad things all the time. You have to understand, okay, at some point in time, I'm on the good side and the bad side. As far as relationships go, we're talking about a hangman's knot and 3 mouths to feed, right? So, in other words, a rock and a hard place.
Literally.
So you're sitting there like, okay, am I going to go to jail for stealing, robbing this bank, or am I going to watch my kids go hungry? Most people, a lot of people would rob the bank before they saw that. And again, it's like, it's a hard situation. However, what that doesn't talk about, and that relying on hangman's knot and 3 mouths to feed, you have a binary, right? 1 or 2 decisions, right? There's also a third decision, and a fourth, and a fifth. We have to be careful about letting the moment restrict our vision to 2 choices that are both horrible.
Right. That is so true. It's like what we learned about intention.
Yeah.
It's like, if we believe there's only 2 choices, that was the only thing we'll ever see.
Yeah.
If we believe there's infinite possibilities and choices and a way of escape, as the Bible says, then there's absolutely
perspective is everything.
Everything. Yes, every single thing. So you're exactly right. That is very dangerous to feel like. And I know that I personally have made the worst decisions when I was in that scarcity mindset and thought.
And you're tired and hungry yourself. And you're trying to make a good choice when your body is like in emergency mode. It's like you haven't slept in 2 days. Maybe you should go to bed and then make a decision. You know what I mean? Because if I'm tired and my kids are hungry,
oh God,
I'm robbing the bank. I'm going to the bank right now. Just ski mask them out. I don't care what happens, right? Because that's where your mind's at. It's like your perspective is just made.
Exactly.
And then if you sit back and take a rest and chill out for a second, you figure out, hey, wait a second. They have food pantries. They have. Hey, what else this says is that you have no other relationships. Because someone else that you know has food, but you don't know anyone else. So therefore, you don't have food.
See, and that's deep too about relationships. Be really careful of relationships that isolate you, where you're on like a island of your own. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there should, especially in a romantic relationship, I think that there should be a immense amount of unity, shared vision, focus, camaraderie.
Yeah.
All those things are very important. And at the same time, I've seen the most healthy relationships like that also had community.
Yeah.
And so, absolutely.
You should have
so glad you brought that up.
Mentoring you through ups and downs, and you should have peers who are in couple relationships around you. Because here's the thing: you may want to buy your kids toddler clothes, but you don't have to, and everyone knows why. Because you're a toddler for like 7 seconds, and then you're not.
Exactly.
And guess what? There's all kinds of babies out here, and they wear their clothes twice.
Right.
And they can give your kids some clothes, along with everything else, right? So, again, you may not have something, but someone around you should, unless you look around and there's no one around. Yes. And that's what this situation sounds like. It's like, all I have to call on is God. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying you shouldn't have allowed your life to get to that point where all you got is God. You know what I mean?
Right, where like God can actually use somebody.
Exactly.
Or God can partner with someone. I'm going to stop using that phrase. God can partner with someone to help you in your time of need.
Right. You shouldn't be in emergency mode all the time.
Absolutely not.
It should be a time, a season, whatever it is. It should be your default position. It's like you're on E all the time. You know, so
absolutely.
That's there wasn't right or wrong. Just choose. He gave me that to do. So, I mean, I understand that. I'm in situations where it's like, hey, I did what I had to do. However, that's how you get on the run.
I was going to say.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Kind of life.
Also, good luck. You know what I mean? It's like, again, we're trying to prevent your situation from getting that desperate in the first place.
Right.
And again, with the teenagers, we got 2 in the house right now. We got younger people at church, all different places. It's like, let's give them the tool set so that they don't end up in this shit type of situation. Because at the end of the day, when you make this prayer that she made for this man, you may not like the answer. That's the part that doesn't get put across. You can pray all you want, but when he's like, okay, you done?
That part.
Here's what I have to say. You're like, God, what? Well, Jesus, and hey, you prayed to me about the situation. Let me tell you what's going to happen.
Right.
You may not like the answer. So before you get there, before you're desperate, before it's like life or death, how about not? How about let's not act like your whole relationship is Bonnie and Clyde, shooting machine guns out the window until, this whole ride or die thing. It's like, how about not? Let's have kids and grandkids.
Be in abundance.
Traditions and pass down wealth and apartment complexes and whatnot. Like, let's do some, like, future building stuff, not like, right now,
Right.
A little too action movie, let's do a little romantic comedy.
Right, throw in.
Yeah. And count.
Right, those two visions ain't adding up.
That's different. Okay, so obviously the best part of every song is a rage, right? And when she went off on this rage, I was like, "Hey, go girl!" So she said, again, this is a deep song if you listen to it. She says, give me the burden, give me the blame. I'll show you the load and I'll swallow the shame. Give me the burden, give me the blame. How many Hail Marys is it going to take? I mean, you can sit there and just pull that apart for hours. Because this is what I see as a man looking out to her. This is what I see go on all the time. We have a whole generation of women who think that they can carry what men carry.
Okay, first of all, we're gonna have to do.
Yeah. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
First of all, we're gonna have to that's gonna have to be that's gonna have to be its own podcast. just right there, and also absolutely, because I feel like a lot of them have never witnessed a man actually carrying his burden, so they never witnessed how heavy it actually is.
And again, empathy is good until it's not.
Right.
It's like, when you're talking about doing the murder, doing the blame, it's like, wait, you want to go to homicide on your record, or you want it on his record? You want to do 2 consecutive life sentences for him? What are we talking about? Because again, when you're romantic and you're all caught up in that, you lose your whole mind.
You do, because right here in the stanza before, she's talking about 3 mouths to feed.
Right.
I'm like, excuse me, man. What happens to those 3 mouths to feed? All of a sudden, you're taking the blame and you're taking the burden, and he's running, and then it's like, I remember telling this woman, and I mean, she didn't talk to me for probably a year. I said, I can't wait until you love your children and yourself more than you love him.
Moment of silence. I mean, think about that. Because when you're talking about, it's like they see all the stuff that you're going through firsthand, and you're saying it's okay, and you know it's not. And the only reason allowed it to happen is because you love him more than you love yourself and your kids.
And your kids. And the way you have to admit that to yourself, that is a conversation. That is a reality. That is, I'm way out of balance. I'm sick at this point. Legit sick. And that's a hard thing to admit.
Yeah. There's we're going to get back to this later on in different podcasts, but there's an order to things, right? And someone mentioned, we were talking about this a while ago, there's a different clip that we watched, and in the comments of the clip, well, let me go back to the clip. The guy in the clip said that the marriage comes first, and then the kids, and then the community, right? And some comment was like, oh no, the kids always come first. And I'm like, oh no. It sounds good when you write that down in all your righteous anger, but when you stop to think about it, it really doesn't come first. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, God, and then he formed man out of the dust, and then he formed the woman outside the man, and then they had children, in that order. And we flip the whole thing around to wonder why society is crazy right now. Right. The kids do not come first. It sounds crazy, I know, but they really don't. You can't even have kids until your spouse comes before that.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. It doesn't even, they...
biologically, time-wise, none of that.
Y'all created together.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's...
And not only that, their whole existence depends on your health.
Exactly. You guys are the guiding lights.
If I get hurt at work and I can't go to work, all of a sudden, what's your reason? It's like, then who came first exactly? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you are there to cherish them, protect them, guide them, keep them. However, you have to be alive, healthy, well, in order to do your job. And on top of that, a lot of people who, I'm not going to do that. Some people who say that children come first don't realize that as all the stuff that you haven't healed from, all the stuff that you haven't taken care of in your own heart and soul, that hits your children too.
That is so true.
So it's like, oh, okay, if that's the case, all the stuff that you're not taking care of with you is hitting them first.
Right. That people feel comfortable of how they want to express love instead of making sure what they're expressing is actually love.
Yeah.
And so we all, as people, we gravitate to what we're good at.
Yeah.
And we shy away from what we're not, and probably the woman that was commenting probably is not in the right order, and so that triggered her, that challenged her.
Exactly.
And so she's justifying her position instead of questioning her position, and I know that's difficult and it takes a lot of maturity. I know that I've been looking to grow in that. When I get feedback that I don't like, not going into defense or justification, instead going into reflection and prayer, and that the scripture that says, make sure that your light is not actually darkness. You know what I'm saying?
And on top of that, in order to be able to take healthy criticism, you have to know that you're safe. As the default position is safe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's like the ones who are hyper reactive to criticism, they don't feel safe at all. So it's like, oh, what else is going on? Oh, what else is going on? Threat. It's like you have to be at a certain level of personal health just to take good criticism.
You know what I mean? That is so true.
Because sometimes someone could tell you the message that you ever heard as far as you becoming a better person. They can tell you that in a not so happy-go-lucky way, and you miss the entire thing because you're not healthy enough in your mind to take any kind of input at all.
Whew.
Think about how fragile you have to be to not be able to tell somebody to tell you, hey, you're late for work. Oh, you can't tell me I'm late for work. This is happening. You don't even pay me enough to be here on time.
Oh my God.
It's like, I'm trying to help you keep your whole job, and you're talking about all this extra stuff. It's like, wait a second. First of all, calm all that down a little bit. Let's calm all that down. Second of all, this is a good criticism.
Right.
I'm not saying your performance is crap. I'm saying I need you here on time so that when you get here, you can have that, what you bring to the table. But if you're not here, you can't remember what you bring to the table. You know what I mean? Right. That's what a healthy person would hear.
Right.
The unhealthy person is, how dare this person say anything contrary to what I'm already doing. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
So definitely let's start there. So again, with this whole I'll shoulder load and I'll swallow the shame. It's like I've heard people say things that they believe, and you can tell just by the formulation of words that they came up with that conclusion when they were like 8. Because it doesn't even sound like a grown adult when they say something like that, right? So what I mean by that is, I'll swallow the shame sounds like something a teenager would say because they don't know how bitter shame tastes. And something like, I'll show you the load, it's like, oh, you don't know how heavy that is, do you? Right. You have no idea. Oh, I'll take it. Look at you. Right. You're going to take the load? Okay. You're going to take the shame? Like, shame is one of the heaviest things in the world that you can carry.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know if you want to call it carry.
And not only that, someone else's? What are you talking about?
Right.
Like, your own is heavy. You don't take yours and his.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. Because, oh my goodness. Just to think of that, shame, how I can think, when I think of shame, I think of someone attempting to swim with like a swimming suit of comforters.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's dragging.
That's great. That is a great word picture right there. Comforters.
Yes.
Because when you're on dry land, that's fantastic. You wrap yourself in that and go diving.
Right.
It's catastrophic.
Right.
That's a great word picture. Wow.
That's what I'm like.
swimsuit and comforters.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job.
Shame
that's
is-
freaking fantastic. Okay. That was great. You're not going to unpack that. I'm going to write that down.
It's like, take some notes. I mean, shame is awful. And I think you're right. I just see this as such a young woman, such a young person, and making these vows and these claims that are someone that doesn't quite know that they're made in the image of God and that God created all of this by speaking, and we can speak our own life and existence out. And they don't quite get it.
Because what comes to mind is like, she says this prayer, right? And God's like, okay. So if he answers this prayer in the affirmative, that would be the worst thing that can happen to her.
Absolutely.
He's an answer prayer. Right now.
Absolutely.
That would be one of the worst things that could ever happen to her is if God answered her prayer. Yes, right now. And again, you don't know because you're 17.
Right.
You have no idea. You just got your driver's
20.
license. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And
You're
it's
20.
like,
You're 21.
You're sitting there, it's like, okay, I can, how many Hail Marys is going to take care? I'm going to pay you off. It's like, hey, first of all, you're saying Hail Mary, and God's the one that wore our shame. That's how heavy that is that it took God to wear Mary the shame. And you're talking about Hail Mary. It's not enough. You don't have enough of them. There's not enough of them. You know
That
what I mean?
is exactly right.
It's like, one of the things that they say about Christ is that he bore our shame for all of humanity. And it's like, until you are confronted with your own shame, you don't even know what he did, let alone what you're saying you're not going to do. Because you want to take on one, he took on everyone's.
Right.
Heavy.
Crushing. Excruciating. That's the only thing. I mean,
you've seen grown adults crumble, including I'll speak for myself, including myself, in a ball on the ground when confronted with their own shame.
Absolutely.
Like, walking proud, blah, 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 and then you get confronted with that and you just melt into a puddle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Been
there too.
Really can't. I really can't overstate that enough. It's like, do not pray that.
Right.
Do not pray that. Again, first of all, he has to be ashamed of it in the first place. And second of all, don't take on more than you could bear.
Exactly.
Don't do all that. Because we have a lot of well-intentioned young women who are trying to save men who were born on the devil's backbone. And that has to stop today.
Yes.
Immediately. And we also have young men who are trying to save young women who are born on the devil's backbone. That has to stop today. And hopefully,
Yes.
over time, we can get young people to understand what in them is attracting them to this type of people, heal that, and then now you're attracting righteous men and righteous women so that you guys can have an actual healthy relationship over time and not a rock and roll relationship for 6 months, a year, or however long it takes.
Right. And when I think of two broken people, because I was definitely one of those broken people, in a relationship that was unhealthy, and then you begin to be an example to the next generation because you bring children into that, and it affects more than you. It affects more than you.
I think that's one of the things that separates a child from an adult is understanding the ripple effect.
Yes.
It's like, oh, wait a second. I have 3 mouths to feed.
Yes.
It's like, oh, wait. You know what I mean? And one of the most potent examples of that is breastfeeding. Like, really, what goes in comes out. And it's like, oh, I have to watch my diet because I'm watching our diet. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
that
then if you have a
kind of love.
You know, it's horrible situations where the mother was addicted to cocaine or heroin or something like that and gets into the baby's blood.
Right.
It's like, again, this isn't just you. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we have this, it's not hubris. The word where you're kind of naive to the fact that you have a huge impact while at the same time you're downplaying your impact and thinking you're more important than you actually are at the same time. It's like a strange paradox that young people live in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, so you could go to the army at 18 and become a special forces and go hunt down Osama bin Laden at 20 years old. Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And also have no idea what you're doing outside of that. Like, a lot of these veterans came back and they're still young in mind, and they did all kinds of adult things. Like they're still 18 years old, still 17 years old, and you're like, wait, no one's gonna tell me what to do? It's like, no man, you're 40 years old. I know you had orders for most of your adult life, but you're just you now. It's just a man. I hear stories like this all the time on podcasts and stuff. They get back out of that structure and they have to be adult themselves, and they have no idea what to do.
That makes so much sense because I definitely feel like I put myself into adult roles and situations when I was still growing and becoming, and I was still a child.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's so much better when you, like we were talking about at the beginning, when you're not on the run.
Yeah.
And when you take your time in life and you really know your identity. You truly know God, you begin to know other people. It's so much better to pace yourself and to let it be a journey and let it be a walk when it's supposed to be. And at the beginning, it's absolutely supposed to be crawling and then walking. You know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely supposed to be that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just going back to the example, the ones who won World War II for us, for America, are like 20 years old. They're like 22 years old, lieutenant. And it's like, and they just came back and was like, oh, I guess I finished college. It's like, wait, what? It's like, you just saved the whole world. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can have such a great impact as a young person and still should do some of the dumbest things at the same exact time.
Right.
And it's kind of cool almost how sometimes the world decides what you're going to call your adult list and what you're going to call your child list. You know what I mean? Hey, here's the M16. Go fight in Vietnam.
You get to be an adult.
You're an adult now. And then something else, it's like, the whole time you're growing up, you feel like someone's holding you back from becoming an adult. And then all of a sudden, you're an adult right now. You know what I mean? And I tried to talk to my niece and nephew with that in mind. Like, I don't want to put pressure on you to become an adult right now. However, you yourself can make a choice tomorrow that makes you an adult right now.
That's exactly.
So and it's not on either of us. It's just on you at that point. It's just, you're now an adult. Now you're grown. Here we go. You know what I mean? So I think we should, as we continue to talk about this and have podcasts and stuff, we're going to have to articulate some kind of graduation beyond your high school graduation. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, we have usually memes where it's like, why didn't no one tell us about investing in high school? You had math class with like algebra 7, which I have yet to use. However, I don't know how to trade stocks. Why not? The stock exchange is like trillions of dollars just floating around in cyberspace. And there's ways to trade and keep stocks and buy stocks. Never told us that at all. Why not? You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that's like, this podcast is for filling in the blanks and helping people to navigate those areas that we saw were didn't have enough light on the path.
Absolutely. And that's what we're excited about. That is truly what we're excited about.
What Do you have like a moment where you're like, oh, I'm an adult now?
I would say when I got pregnant with Eliel. Probably, well, I would say once I had Eliel.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that is when, and probably when I voted, something about that felt very adultish.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say becoming a mother.
Yeah.
Yes, because something about that full responsibility and it no longer being just about me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's interesting is like I had a pretty typical life. And one of those things is like when I graduated high school, I was like, oh, I guess I'm an adult now.
Really?
I was really at that time. I was like, oh, okay. Because I had gotten a job at Regis. And I had just graduated high school. I'm like, oh, all right. You know what I mean? If I had to make a definitive time, it's probably when I bought my first car.
Oh, okay.
I got my, what was it? 90-something Jeep Cherokee.
Okay.
Gas guzzler, but it was my first car. I think that was when it was like official. I'm like, oh yeah, driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's finish up this solid here. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is crazy right here. That's crazy. Okay, she says, don't care if he's guilty, don't care if he's not. He's good and he's mad, and he's all that I've got. Oh Lord, I'm begging you, please. Don't take that son from me. So, again, it's like you're let me try to articulate this correctly. Someone that you love, for real, happens to be a fugitive. You know what I mean? It's like you have this, because one of the things that we don't talk about sometimes is like, who we love says a lot about us, and we don't want our circumstances to say what they're actually saying. So, what he's telling her, the man in her life is telling her, is that you are attracted to felons. It just is what it is. Like, I'm here, therefore you are attracted to felons. You're in love with the felon, right? Her prayer is like, I know all that, but I know this is true, but also, God, can you make it not true? You know what I mean? It's like, is there some way, something that can make this not true? Can you make it not true that I'm attracted to something that's against me, against life, against the good, something that's unrighteous? You know what I mean? And the reason I'm saying it is like I've had conversations like this with a guy myself where I'm like, I talked to Andrew like this too a lot years ago, like a long time ago. I'm like, I like crazy chicks. And he's like, what? I'm like, as you said, girl, he's like, come again? I was like, I don't know, like that whole, like, you know, it's a real dangerous type of thing. It's like one of those situations, like, it kind of gets me going, my guy. And he's like, what are you talking about? And again, I was not only raised in the church, I was like probably born on a pew. I remember running around, seeking other pews, like I remember the floor in Lemon Way was like hopping when I was like getting down.
Yes!
I was in the pew screaming like a cheerleader, and I was like, like you're getting it in.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm not sure what he or she is saying, but something's going on. This getting crunk. This is crazy, right? Again, born in church, no God, all that kind of stuff. However, something in me was like, what's that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And only one I could relate to, and one of the ones I could relate to the most was actually Samson in the Bible.
Wow.
And remember when his parents were like, wow, why don't you marry an Israelite? Like, what's wrong with you? All the you marry someone else, you want them? And it's like, why? What is that? Like, I was always, most of my life I've been trying to figure out, like, what's that thing? Like, what was in Samson that attracted him that he wasn't supposed to be attracted to? You know what I mean?
Man.
So, again, this isn't about female, male. This is about you get who you are.
Exactly. I love that. That's just so true. That is so true, because this is another thing that we're going to do on this podcast is absolutely not demonize either gender. We want to bring an understanding.
Also, what we're going to do is make a distinction between good and evil. Because I'm getting sick and fucking tired of people calling queens who are not queens, and people getting called kings who are not kings. And we were definitely going to talk about that. I promise you we will. Oh, I promise you we will. Anyway, what she was saying was, again, like the point of that is, we have good men and women marrying titles of people who are calling themselves something like they're not. It's like, hey, that's not the characteristics of a queen. Oh, but it says queen on her license plate. It says queen right there. Some bedazzled license plate. It says queen. That's not queen, my guy. You know, and again, it just, sometimes ignorance, you're 12, you're 15, you don't know. I'm going to let you know. So,
right.
we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so
he's good and he's bad and he's all that I've got. Don't care if he's guilty. Don't care if he's not.
I love the honesty in this song. I just love it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, look, okay, here I've been a couple minutes. We'll talk about about that later. You know, it's like, well, God, can you still do something like this? You know what I mean? And I get that, because again, she's in love. It's not like, you don't say this kind of stuff with someone you're not in love with.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that whole justification thing, and this is why and not why, I get all that. However, we're trying to get back to healthy relationships. Because, like we said at the beginning, relationships are not just romantic. You have it with your kids, your coworkers, and your community, right? So, even though he's a good man to you, he's not a good man to no one else. That's the problem.
Exactly.
He brought you home money, but it came from a bank that he robbed. They're not okay with that.
Right.
If paid your bills, yay! You stole from them. Ooh.
Right.
You want 2 thumbs up, not just 1 thumb up. Like, come on.
It's like, it's like you helped one family and hurt 30 others. It's
no.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Because you have a responsibility to your community to be healthy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think we use that line when we want to and don't use it when we don't want to. And what I mean by that is, it's like, it's amazing to me when we say, oh, it's none of your business. Oh, all of a sudden it's none of your business. Well, yesterday, you know what I mean? It's like, so when the cops get called for domestic violence, someone else called them, hey, my neighbor's beating up his wife. My neighbor's smacked her husband against the head with a mirror model or something like that. Guess who's all involved now? You, the cops, and whoever else is around. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we keep talking about that like it's not a thing. It's a thing. You know what I mean?
Right. You're unhealthy. You being unhealthy is unhealthy for every. Yeah, it does affect everyone. And I think you're exactly right. I was thinking of Sister Yolanda. You ain't got no business. It's like, that's what it means, though. Because we live our lives out.
Yeah.
It's for everyone to see.
Yeah.
You know, even if everyone is your kids in your own house, your siblings, your parents.
Yeah. And we'll end with this. The Bible says, and this is Paul, he said, you are epistles.
Yes.
Right? I taught you something, you living it out is my story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the exchange that we have in relationships. It's like, you are living out what I taught you. Therefore, your life is becoming a witness to whether or not my teaching is good or bad, right?
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, if your beginning wasn't that great, our message to everyone is that you can begin again. If your middle isn't great, our message to you is you can begin again. And if your end isn't great, our message is that you can begin again. So, we're going to get, next podcast is going to be about the man side of this. and then we're gonna get back to the beginning because that's where all this stuff starts, right? We're gonna have to halt, pause, stop, and examine where we're at, and then rebuild from there. But first, we're gonna articulate the problem. So today's problem was, or I guess the example was, a young woman or people in general who are trying to make unrighteous things righteous, trying to make good or bad things good, and trying to make God come down and endorse it like it's okay. And we're just trying to acknowledge that's not okay. And hopefully, the listeners of the podcast will take that lesson from this is that you don't have to be okay with dysfunction. We can actually talk about what it looks like to function correctly and then learn the tools that it takes to do that.
Absolutely.
And all we're doing is just passing those tools on.
Yes. Well said. Well said.
Any last words, comments, questions, concerns?
I think that the last thing I want to say is, like Jonathan was saying, that you can begin again. And one of these lyrics says that he's all that I got, you know? And I think that when we believe that wrong is all we got, yes, we hold on tighter. And I want to challenge.
I say that perspective.
Oh, yes.
That's all I got.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I want to challenge everyone to have the courage to believe that there's something that you haven't seen and that it's for you. Yeah. So
there is such thing as a good relationship.
Yes.
It's possible.
Yes. So, good relationships are possible.
Number one, a couple of singles. That's Stephanie. This is Jonathan. Thanks for joining us, and meet you on the next one.
Yep, thanks for starting a relationship with us. Bye-bye.
Oh, so